Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for making a scene when my brother's girlfriend tried to protect her peace? I didn't know how to title the post. I apologize. My son is 11 months old and 97th percentile for height. He is a big but baby, currently 36 inches tall, or about the size of your average 2.5 years old, and in 3T clothing. However, despite him being so big, he is still just a baby and most of his nutrition is still from breast milk. For the 4th we had a big family cookout and my brother invited his girlfriend. I live out of state and I didn't want my flights to be too close together, so I'm staying for a bit longer. My brother and his girlfriend are doing the same thing. My family is aware that my son is a baby, obviously, but my brother's girlfriend was not and was initially very shocked when she saw him misbehaving. We explained that he's still a baby, so he's still just exploring the world. She remained uncomfortable, but we mostly avoid each other. Because he's so big, feeding him is a chore, so I use an armchair as there isn't enough support elsewhere, and so there isn't much I can do about covering up. He gets sweaty under blankets and won't eat. It's been a tense couple of weeks. Last night I think we both kind of lost it. My son needed feeding and she was in the chair. I asked her to move, which she whined about but did get up. Everything was fine for another hour or so until she demanded my brother pay for her to go to a hotel for the remaining nights because she can't cope with me and the baby. He asked what she meant and she said that he's clearly big enough to be on real food and I enjoy making her uncomfortable by feeding him in front of her. I got embarrassingly upset and told her that she should keep her mouth shut because she clearly doesn't know the first thing about parenting and certainly doesn't know anything about me or my son. We argued the same points for a little more until my son woke from his nap and I left to collect him. She then left after telling us all, loudly, that she needs to protect her peace, which is honestly not a phrase I thought real people said. My brother told me I was being immature and left with her. My dad is on my side, but did tell me I should have removed myself from the situation as I'm a grown woman and she's still a teenager. I'm 3 years older than her, so I think that's BS. My mom is neutral but is still trying to convince my brother to come home and ended up paying for their hotel. She thinks I could have been a lot more understanding. Am I the a-hole? Was I completely out of order? Top comments. I know how you feel. My boys are 6 feet 6 inches and 6 feet 5 inches, respectively. It looked like they should have been able to eat a porterhouse every day. So, I get where you are coming from. Some people are more literal. They see you breastfeeding a love seat and they just can't cope. Opie replies. His dad is 6 feet 7 inches and I'm so not prepared for him to be taller than me by the time he's like 5 lmao. He's already past my hip. I'm 5 feet 1 inch on a good day. Her peace is disrupted by a baby needing to be fed? How sad for her. If she's so shocked that babies can come in different shapes and sizes, she's gonna lose her mind when she finds out they come in different colors too. Not the a-hole. I'm going to go with not the a-hole. It sounds like it's a her issue if she was the only who made any fuss about it. To clarify, that still a teenager bit, is she still an actual teen or someone is a bit self-centered, or sheltered? Could you have gone to another room like a bedroom, or is that specific chair the primest of spots? Not that it matters, in my opinion. She's weird and shoulda just sucked it up. Not sure if she's unaware that above average babies can happen. Opie replies. She's 19. So technically a teen IG. Chair is the easiest, although I can feed him in bed laying down. I don't prefer to because I fall asleep though. Not the a-hole. If she's uncomfortable because you're breastfeeding, she leaves the room. It's that simple. Her opinions on what your son should eat are stupid and nobody asked for them. Sometimes people are stupid or clumsy, but she was disrespectful. She absolutely must apologize for her unsolicited advice and entitled behavior. Next time she can go straight to the hotel for her peace, but above all for your peace. Next story. Am I the a-hole for going to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name? My parents took out credit cards and loans in my name. It was fine when they were paying the bills, but they got behind. I don't have a key to the mailbox, so I never saw the bills or anything. I just finished my 3rd year of university and I was going to move out. That would require me to get a credit check and stuff. My parents freaked out and forbid me from moving out. They said it was stupid that I would waste money on moving out when I could save money living at home. They don't like my boyfriend, so I thought that was their issue. But not was I wrong. Long story short, I am about $60,000 in debt because of them. I cannot afford to pay that off. I told them that they needed to clear the debt immediately and change the house rules so my boyfriend could spend the night. They said that they didn't have the money to pay the debt and that I could not strong-arm them into changing the rules of their house. I called my auntie and asked her if I could please come stay with her for a bit. She let me and asked a lot of questions. Then she showed me a dozen Reddit posts about parents screwing up their kids' future and kids allowing it. I went to the police and reported it. My parents got arrested and charged. They are furious with me. I know they didn't spend the money on me. I do not know what they did spend it on. I don't care. I feel bad for them, but I'm not letting them F up my future. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. It was fine when they were paying the bills. No. It wasn't. It is identity fraud and it is illegal. Put a freeze on your credit and monitor your reports from now on. Tell them you are furious with them as well. OP replies. I meant I didn't know about it. Not that what they did was okay. No, you are not the a-hole. Your parents committed fraud by taking out debt in your name without your knowledge, which has put your financial future at risk. Reporting them to the police was necessary to protect yourself from further harm and hold them accountable for their actions. You have every right to take legal action and prioritize your own well-being in this situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my husband in front of his family and revealing that he hasn't helped me like he claims? Hi everyone. For my whole life, I, 30F, have had a lot of anxiety when it comes to driving. It has never been too much of a problem, as I live in a city and I can walk wherever I need to go. I have been married to my husband, Stan, 32M, for 3 years, together for 6. Throughout our relationship, he has tried to help me learn how to drive. The problem is, Stan is not a very good teacher. AMD gets very impatient and angry every time we try. We go to the parking lot of an abandoned warehouse sometimes, it's huge. Anyway, if I make one small mistake, for example, if I don't check my mirrors for a long enough time, Stan yells at me. I would already be nervous at the wheel, but with all the yelling, it would cause me to break down and cry. I have a brother, Paul, 33M, who I hang out with typically once a week. A few months ago, I was talking to Paul about how I want to learn how to drive, but I'm very nervous about it. He offered to help teach me when we hang out. Paul's husband, Chris, also was willing to help me out, and they actually made me feel so much more at ease behind the wheel. I thought I was bad at driving, but it turns out, I was just anxious. Another factor that made me want to learn, besides feeling like I need to do this, is that Stan has told me that he won't have a child with me until I get my license, which I definitely understand. 2 weeks ago, on my day off from work, Paul and Chris took me to the DMV and I finally got my license. I also bought a used car a few days ago from money that I've been saving up for years. I'm so happy, and I have has the support from my brother and his husband. I thought Stan would be mad that I did all of this behind his back. And he was somewhat disappointed that I didn't want his help. I love him so much, but honestly he wasn't the right teacher for me. Anyway, on Sunday, Stan and I both had off from work and he told me he had a surprise for me. He took me to his parents' house, where they had a celebration for me, basically like a little party congratulating me because I learned how to drive. Halfway through, my mother-in-law was giving a speech about how proud she was of me, but also proud of my husband, for all of THR support and lessons he was giving me. I could feel the anger rising in my chest. Stan had been telling everyone that he was the one who has been teaching me to drive. I snapped and told everyone, basically, that the few times Stan tried to teach me, I always ended up crying because he would yell at me until he was blue in the face. That the only people who helped me and gave me confidence were Paul and Chris. And that, if anything, Stan made things worse for me. Which was true. But now, Stan won't talk to me. My mother-in-law, father-in-law and sister-in-law are on my side, but my 2 brother-in-laws and a couple of cousins are on Stan's side. I kind of do feel like an a-hole. But at the same time, everything I said was true. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole, but are you absolutely sure this is the person you want to have a child with? If he can't muster the patience to teach you how to do something, what is he going to be like with a 2-year-old? Not the a-hole. Please don't have a child with this person. Anyone who puts conditions on having a child with you, i.e., not until you get your license, doesn't see you as a life partner, they see you as a brood mare. Don't get stuck with a baby from this joker, he will eventually bail on you and you will be a single parent. At the very least, get counseling. Preferably with Stan, who sounds like he would be an absolute crap as a parent if he doesn't have any more patience than that. Next story. Would I be the a-hole for filling in a man-made pond against some neighbor's wishes? For the past several years, I've owned a property in a semi-rural area. It is part of an homeowners associations with only 12 houses over 1,000 acres, so we don't get much in each other's way. There is a common area that abuts my property, and on it there is a pond that is fed via an irrigation headgate on a creek on my property and a cut that runs from it through my property. I've come to discover this pond is a real pain. One neighbor used to maintain it, without making a fuss, but he died. So dealing with it fell to me, as the neighbor most affected by it. And it's a pain. People trespass to go fishing or having their dogs swim in it. People from outside have come to ice skate on it, totally not safe. It has silting problems. The headgate needs to be dug out every spring, sometimes multiple times. The cut clogs up and has to be cleared. Then a beaver took up residence and kept blocking the outflow culvert, causing a flood on neighboring farmers' land. He was rightly pissed and I got the brunt of it. I was clearing out beaver blockages several days a week. Nobody else in the homeowners associations would help. I did some research and discovered that the water right for the headgate belonged to me alone and not the association. Whoops, there was no easement for the irrigation cut, and, cherry on the sundae, the pond is actually on my property and not common area. Had a survey done just to be sure. I also discovered it wasn't really a pond, it was a hole dug up to provide fill for our road, and the original developer just routed irrigation into the hole and called it a pond, but this explains why it is such a mess. A landowner a mile away is now digging out a proper pond and he has to pay a ton to dispose of the fill, even though it is clean. I asked if it would help if he could put some of the fill in our pond, and he offered to pay for the privilege. I have closed the headgate and started draining the pond. Some members of the homeowners associations have been yelling at me that they like the pond, just to look at as they drive out to the main road. So I said, okay, if you like it, pay up $10,000 a year for someone to deal with the nonsense. They refused. I said that in that case the pond is getting filled in and planted with native grass. Using the money from taking the fill, they call me a selfish a-hole. Am I? Update, I already met with a beaver expert from Fish and Wildlife. They would have given me a nuisance permit to trap, but I wanted to try an exclusion fence. Nobody else wanted to pay for that. Experts said that if we lower pond, beaver will probably just move back to the creek. We do have fish in the pond, but it isn't deep enough to support overwintering, so the actual sustained fish population is in the creek. Finally, I did speaking to the local conservation district about a permit to drain. They said it should not be an issue, as they don't love these fake ponds, and would prefer the water stay in the creek to support higher stream flow. Top comments. Not the a-hole. You were burdened with a feature on your own property that you no longer wish to maintain. Based on your details, that was entirely your decision, and an apt one given that no one else in the association was willing to contribute. It sounds like an unfortunate error on the part of the homeowners associations/leadership to have not set up the feature and its maintenance appropriately. The only right answer here, in terms of the homeowners association's broader benefit, is for the association to decide to install one on a truly common area along with allocating the funds to maintain it. That would force it to be a truly shared responsibility and cost, rather than falling disproportionately on any one property owner. Your neighbors are AHs for thinking it is fair to complain about something they never paid for or helped to maintain, and expecting you to incur the PIA and the cost out of generosity alone. Not the a-hole. If it's a community pond, then the homeowners association's dues should go towards maintenance of it and not a sole homeowner. It's not a community pond, they don't want to treat it as such, then fill it in. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my vegan sister that I will not remodel her home anymore if she doesn't serve me meat? My sister bought a home and it needs a lot of work. I told her that I would be willing to do it if she provided food and the materials. I am anemic and fainted a lot as a child. Almost all of my meals have some type of meat in them or are very heavy on protein. This is the problem, the meals my sister have been serving have left me hungry and lightheaded. The work is labor intensive and me working in the morning to late afternoon usually makes me feel awful by the end of the day. I brought my own food one day and it wasn't an issue, so I asked she taught make heavier meals that have more protein in them. It hasn't been working. Yesterday I fainted and after I informed her that I need her to make meals with meat in them or I will not be remodeling things anymore. She thinks I am a huge jerk for asking this one her and I am standing firm on this. I am also not willing to bring my own food since I am going her a huge favor already to remodel her home. Top comments. Info. Would you accept a compromise that she pays you instead of making the food? You're not the a-hole but I feel there is some agreement that you guys can reach. You are the a-hole, I have chronic anemia and eat protein-heavy meals, and either this post is made up or you aren't managing a medical condition properly. If you're eating meat at supper and she's serving you iron-rich veggies and legumes at breakfast and lunch, there's no way your fainting has to do with meat, especially if paired with anything that has vitamin C. If you can't avoid passing out while doing heavy labor without having a plate of meat, you need to see a doctor because clearly something is preventing you from absorbing iron properly. Also, why can't she just pay for DoorDash? I get it, that you're doing a generous favor with free labor, but requiring meat and requiring her to make the meat are two different things and one of those is just mean. You are the a-hole mainly because meat is not the only way to deal with anemia. Your health issue is not her responsibility. Just bring lunch, it's not that hard. She can compensate you another way. Edit, you say elsewhere that you wouldn't even accept a compromise, that she cooks or you want to be paid a professional rate. This isn't about your diet, it's about some weird grudge or something. Firm you are the a-hole. Edit 2, after looking into it, there's no way that you have the physical capacity and stamina to remodel an entire home but missing one serving of meat makes you faint from anemia. That's how diabetes and insulin/blood sugar work, not anemia and iron, not protein as you keep insisting. Either your condition is so improperly managed that it wouldn't matter what your sister cooks or this is a DAE vegan bad, creative writing exercise. You are the a-hole for trolling. If you're so anemic that you are fainting, why don't you just get iron supplements? Info, why not have her pay for DoorDash for lunch each day? You can get the food you need and she doesn't have to cook. You are the a-hole. I find it kinda impossible to believe that one meal will make or break your hemoglobin or ferritin levels enough to make you pass out. Like I don't even think the iron is bioavailable quickly enough for it to make a difference the same day. And if you're riding the line between being able to do physical labor and going unconscious then you need a blood transfusion or iron supplements at the very least. I am also anemic and have never heard of anything involving protein helping, now iron on the other hand that helps. My dude, you either have low blood sugar or you're lying. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.